Well, my name is Kevin Eastman, and since probably I was about your age, I love drawing. I drew all the time, and I grew up in a very small town, so I liked writing my own stories and drawing them and creating and all these fantastical characters that, anything I could dream up, if I could write it and draw it, I would do it. And when I was around, after high school, I was around 20, early 20s, I met a guy named Peter Laird, who was just like me. He grew up big fan of comic books, and we had a similar hero, a guy named Jack Kirby, who created a lot of the Marvel universe, like Incredible Hulk and Thor and Captain America and all those characters we know from the Marvel universe. And so we had a big fan. He was our big hero, so we decided to team up and draw comic books together. And the first thing we created was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we thought it was silly, we thought it was goofy, but we really loved it as an idea. We thought it was really funny. So we drew our own stories and we published them ourselves. And it started as a comic book. And then from there, it went on to become cartoons and toys and then movies. And here I am 36 years later, I'm still drawing comic books every day. I was drawing some this morning before I got on the phone with you guys.
So we have, you know what, I'll let Patton ask a question. Patton, you can ask a question of Kevin. And again, students, if you guys have any questions for Kevin, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll call on you. Patton, you should be able to unmute your microphone and ask Kevin your question.
What did you feel like when you noticed, like you made a big hit when you made the Ninja Turtles?
Well, it was a big surprise to us because we really, we didn't design it as to be this big, huge idea. We just really had a lot of passion to write and draw and tell our stories. And so it was kind of surprising to us that an idea that we liked, so many other people liked, and it was sort of, I always said when I was your age, nobody could tell me what was cool. I decided what I liked and what I didn't like and what was cool. So it was amazing to us that suddenly all over the world, kids were discovering the Turtles and they found something that they really liked. They liked, reading about their adventures, watching their adventures and their movies. So we were quite surprised and quite thrilled. It's very exciting.
So we have a question from Alejandro in Spain, and he wanted to know, how do you create a character? What is your creative process?
There are many steps to creating a character, and in our case, I'll expand on it a little bit because we created a group of characters, four brothers. And what I liked, when you come up with a character, you sort of either model it after your personality of your tastes, your dislikes, or the things you like to do and not do. And then say you're going to create another character that's a friend of this character, you base it on one of your friends. They might like something that you don't like, or you might like some of the same things. So it sort of creates, like if you have a brother or a sister, it's kind of sometimes you disagree. And then in our case, we created four turtles, each with different personalities. And even though they might bicker and not get along sometimes like a family, when they are called upon to do heroic things, they all join together and help each other and solve those problems. And that's what I like about creating different kinds of characters.
We have a question from Adele. And Adele, you should be able to unmute your microphone and ask your question to Kevin. You had a great question.
Yes, so hello, my name is Adele and I'm from France. I would like to know what tips you could advise us about how to improve our drawing skills and all these things.
I'm sorry, there was a noise in the background. I didn't hear you quite as well.
She wanted to know, how can they improve their growing skills, their artistic skills, if they want to pursue art or animation?
Sure, okay. No, we have three little wiener dogs and the other little touchdowns. Sometimes they get a little crazy. Anyway, what you can do to improve your skills is it's kind of like when I was younger. I also, besides drawing, I like to play sports, and I like to play music. I try to play, I like playing guitar. And any of those things, if you want to be a writer or an artist, or you like any kind of sports or anything you like as a hobby, or something being creative, you just have to work at it a little bit each day. And even if it's, sometimes life can be really crazy, you can be really busy. But if you can just take, 15, 20 minutes each day to work on something that's personal to you, that's creative to you, that you want to learn more about, then that's the best way to do it. And also, say if you have a favorite sports star or a favorite artist, don't be afraid to look at specifically how they play or how they draw or how they write. You have a favorite writer, you read the way they write, and that will give you ideas on how to improve your own writing skills. So it really ends up getting better just by doing and practicing the things you like. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm 58 years old and I'm still learning every day. So stuff that I study and learn and I apply to my own work is I still read and I still try different ways of drawings, and you never stop growing.
That's some great sound advice. We have a question from Blanca in Spain. And Blanca, you had an awesome question. What's your question?
Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle and why?
Oh, that's a very good question, and it's a tough question because I feel like at the same time they're kind of like all my kids, so it's hard to pick a favorite child. I love them all, but at the same time, I don't know if you can see this little drawing on my hat. It's kind of hard to see, but this is the very first drawing of the turtle of a turtle ever done, and it was Michelangelo. He had the nunchucks strapped to his arms and his mask on, and so even before he was named Michelangelo, he was Michelangelo, and I loved him because he's good-hearted. He's very silly. He's sort of kind of cracking jokes and cheering the other brothers up when they're feeling a little grumpy or whatever. So. But just if I had to choose one, I'd choose Michelangelo because he makes me smile.
It's an awesome answer. Beline from Spain as well. I was actually wondering this question myself. So Beline, you should be able to unmute and ask your question. Well, we might be having some technical issues there. She wanted to know why turtles? Why would you create a comic around turtles?
Another really good question, and it's funny because you think about it. It could have been anything, it could have been elephants or donkeys or a sloth, but I particularly think it was my influence on turtles was my grandma lived on a lake, and a lake will have like a slow running sort of runoff, like a little water runoff, and it was full of weeds and grasses and just full of turtles. And every time I go to my grandmother's, I'd go over there, and I'd all day I could watch them climb up on the rocks and sunbathe and swim around and do all the stuff. And I thought they were like little miniature dinosaurs or something. So I was quite, I was a big fan of turtles, and I think that stayed with me my whole life. So when I thought of a superhero character, and you have a slow-moving turtle, and then if you think of a martial artist, it's got a fast-moving martial arts skills. You combine the two together, and it was kind of a natural joke. So
it was a great combination. So Nicholas from Spain, you have an awesome question. You should be able to unmute and ask your question, sir.
Okay, my question is, why did you name the turtles like Italian painters, famous people?
That was it was so much fun because I guess when I was in school, I was a geek, but it was like a geek it wasn't as cool as the term as it is now, because I love things like reading, and I loved art history, and art history especially was my favorite. I loved, in particular, my hero was Leonardo Da Vinci, because not only was he an artist and a painter and a sculptor and a botanist and a scientist and an inventor. He just, I think that's the term Renaissance person, and so I just loved him. And so I also, Michelangelo was one of my favorites, and Raphael, who was a student of Michelangelo's along the way. And so when we were coming up with names, it was traditional American names didn't seem silly enough, or traditional Asian names. There's a lot of Asian history, and we were like, no, it's got to be really goofy because it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so I thought of my passion for art history, and I said, what about Leonardo and Michelangelo? And so we both laughed, and we knew that if it both made us both laugh, then that was the way to go. So yeah. So it's from reading too much and loving art history that that's how they became those characters' names.
That is awesome. So we'll go with maybe a couple more questions, and we'll let you go. We have Raphael, ironically, in France. Raphael, you should be able to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, so hello, it's
Hello.
Raphael. It's Raphael, and I like to ask you why you decided to create 4 heroes instead of only one, as usual in this kind of art.
No, again, you guys have such great questions today. And the reason I liked having 4 heroes was, you know, it felt like if you have a group of friends, you know, again, you might have different ideas or different opinions, and or even you have brothers and sisters, and maybe you don't all get along, kind of things. But I felt like I always like superhero groups, like you know, the Avengers or X-Men, and that sometimes even when they didn't get along, but if they needed to defeat a bad guy, a bad person, they would all join together, and they were stronger together as a family than just by themselves. And I liked, you know, Batman was one of the characters I read when I was younger, and Captain America and Daredevil and things. But I liked the idea of a superhero group so they could all be more of a family and all help each other. And it's interesting to tell stories with more. So I like the group.
Yeah, so we, before we let you go, can you give the kids advice on as they go out in the world and trying to figure out what they want to do in life and pursue their passions? What kind of advice could you give them as someone who's a complete legend in your field?
Well, you know, it's, you know, I don't feel like a legend, but I'm really, 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 really lucky that I get to do what I dreamed about as a child, to follow my passion and write and draw and tell stories. And I guess it's, you know, for me, I always keep my eyes open. And what I mean by that is if you have a opportunity to travel, you know, sometimes museums might seem like boring places, but you can learn so much from like a museum. Just seeing how other cultures live and their everyday life can be very inspirational. They go about their daily things. I do watch you know, movies and TV and read books because I like learning about plots and storytelling and how to tell a story, like, you know, as small as a simple children's book, like you know, Where the Wild Things Are, to say something as grandiose and huge as, like, you know, the Lord of the Rings or those things. So don't be, you know, expose yourself to everything, study everything, enjoy moments. And, you know, if you have a special interest, sort of apply that to what you're doing, you know, keeping a diary, keeping a journal, doing little sketches, you know, just have fun with it, as well as work hard at it.
So before we let you go, my son wanted to show you his favorite Ninja Turtle, which is so ironic because, like, when I was a kid, to get good grades, like if I got good grades, my mom would reward me with Ninja Turtles stuff. And I find myself doing the same exact thing. So here he is showing you his Raphael, his absolute favorite turtle. So before we let Kevin go, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody, and can we all say thank you to Kevin for spending some time with us today from all over the world?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, all be
Bye.
safe out there. Wash your hands, wear your mask. We want to see you in person one day soon, so be safe, and thanks for spending some time with me this morning.
Yes, sir. Have a good day. Thank you.
As well.